Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another update on Solana. So, the markets are not looking too hot today. Bitcoin is having a sizable correction, altcoins are dropping, but Solana is not looking too good. It's down about 4% as of the time of recording today's video. I think at this moment in time, in both the lower time frames and the higher time frames, we are in a tipping point where I believe the next macro big move for Solana is literally right here. So let's dive right into the chart. So first of all, I want to talk about the higher time frames, and then we'll talk about what's happening in the lower time frames and why I think this tipping point is here from a higher time frame and a lower time frame perspective. Now, first of all, if we are starting off on the weekly time frame and purely just looking at the volume profiles on the chart, you can see I've dissected this chart into two different segments. When we come into these white boxes here, you are in areas where there's lots of volume traded in the market. You can see this on the left side of the screen with the volume profiles. When we come into these red boxes, you can see there's not too much volume traded in the market. And why we highlight this is because when you come into areas where there's lots of data previously traded in these white boxes, you spend lots of time in the white areas. When you come down into the red boxes, you can see we have knee-jerk reactions down to the next levels of support. When you break down from these levels of support, knee-jerk reactions down, knee-jerk reactions back up into these white boxes where you spend lots of time traded. Now, in the past month, we've of course seen Solana drop from about $22 all the way down to $13. This bounce that we've seen in the past month from $13 all the way up to about $18 was because we came down into this big cluster of volume support round about $13.30. However, right now we are trading in one of these red boxes where there's not much volume, so I really don't expect us to spend too much longer trading in the area that we're currently in, and I'm going to explain why in the lower time frames in a second. In the higher time frames, like I said, we are trading in this box, meaning that volatile reactions should be happening very soon in the market. In the lower time frames, we are seeing developments which are kind of letting me know that this short-term bounce correctory wave back up to the upside is ending, but more about that in a second. Let's finish up on the higher time frame analysis. We've also been detailing things like this WXY any free structure. This is an Elliott wave pattern that is comprised of 3 ABC patterns, and to keep things short, we are in the final wave Y, which constitutes of a regular zigzag ABC pattern. You can see this wave started all the way up at $40. We had a correction down to $8. That is clearly your wave A. We had a sharp impulse rally back up to wave B. That is clearly $27. And currently we're having a correction, and I'm going to talk about in the higher time frames what I think this price target is going to be in just a second. But clearly, if we are coming down to wave C should be below wave A, which should mean we're coming down for a correction below $8. Also, to wrap up in the higher time frame analysis, bear in mind I've been rather conservative on this one because technically this is hidden bearish divergence, which is currently playing out on the charts for Solana, where the price action is making lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and the oscillator's making higher highs. I've drawn this from this level here. I do just want to quickly highlight that we've actually been making this hidden bearish divergence since Solana was up at $142, where it was making highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and lower highs, which I think is developing right now in the lower time frames. Also on the weekly candle, you can see that we have started to come back down to the downside after this most recent rally to the upside. I think this is going to be another lower high, but nonetheless, I digress. You can see on the oscillator, we've been seeing highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, and higher highs. So despite the fact that the price action is breaking lower and lower and lower, the oscillator is becoming more and more overextended, which basically tells you that buyers are currently exhausted in this market. But what I've done is I've drawn this from a slightly more conservative approach to the markets. You can see more or less we've been making a very, very strong case for hidden bearish divergence since around about $49, in which we've been making highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and lower highs. However, only in the past 2 data points for Solana, you can actually see that we are no longer making higher highs in the oscillator. The oscillator is now breaking back down to the downside, which is letting me know that this hidden bearish divergence, which has respectively been playing out since about $50 to potentially as high as $144, is finally starting to come into fruition, and we should really be getting ready for this massive hidden bearish divergence to start taking its effect on the market. So you know my thoughts in the higher time frames. We're in an area where there's not much liquidity. In the immediate short term, I think we're coming down to this volume profile at $13.23. This is a correction slash retest of about an 18% drop to the downside. Of course, we've got Elliott wave theory backing this up, and we've got a long running hidden bearish divergence. So you know in the higher time frames why I think we should be coming back down to the downside. However, like I said, we're really at a tipping point, and the lower time frames are also in agreement that we should be turning to the downside very soon, and this is what I want to talk about in this segment. First of all, before we go over to the 4-hour time frame, we've just come from the weekly time frame, so let's check out what's happening on the daily. What I really want to highlight is, once again, you can see this white box down here, which we discussed in this volume profile chart. You can see we've clearly had a bounce from the volume profiles. We've had a correction to the upside. In fact, if we're drawing a Fibonacci from the most recent breakdown, swing high to swing low, what do you know, we've reverted into the 0.5 Fibonacci before having a breakdown from about $18 down to where we are right now, round about $16 approximately. We just talked about the divergence playing out on the MFI. However, I would like to let you know on the daily time frame, the MFI is actually turning up a tiny bit. We are at 57. There's tons of available liquidity and money volume which can flow out of the ecosystem right now. But what I wanted to highlight is this: the stochastic RSI just came up and hit round about 95 to 96 in the past few days or so, as Solana's making this rounding top and turning to the downside. Now, why is this important? Well, let's look at different occasions in recent history where the stochastic RSI has approached between this 90 to 100 region. If I highlight the tops in the oscillator, highlight the tops in the price action, you can see a pretty clear trend of when the stochastic RSI tops out, you do have sharp corrections that follow. Now, previously, if we're looking at these past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tops in the stochastic RSI, like we discussed, if we come over to this weekly time frame chart, the reason why we weren't really having these monumental breakdowns to the downside is because, what do you know, we pumped back up into this huge white box where there's plenty of previous volume traded in the market. You can see a lot of these corrections on the weekly time frame just brought us right back down to this white box. You can see correction down to the bottom of the white box, correction, we had an SFP, broke into the white box. When we had that correction, found support of the white box, found support of the white box. However, in this data point over here, when the stochastic RSI topped out, you can see it topped out at $22.33, and we lost this final support in this white box, and we broke down to the next level on the white box. So as you can see, we've bounced back up to the upside. Stochastic RSI is topping out again round about this 95 region. However, this top was at $17.77. This top is about 20% lower than the previous top, and we are once again seeing that top in the stochastic RSI. So I'm seeing this trend on the stock where we were coming down, holding support, holding support, holding support. I'm seeing this trend break, and now I'm seeing lower lows and lower highs in the markets, because if we're looking at the 3 most recent tops over in the stochastic RSI, you can see we are no longer holding this white box. We are making highs, lower highs, and lower highs, and that is what I think we're coming back down to in the immediate short term for Solana. I think we're coming back down. We're going to break down to the downside. Like I said, in the immediate short term, it makes sense for us to come back down and retest this volume profile round about $13.21. I personally think we could break beneath this level, bounce back up, retest it as resistance before coming down for one last leg to the downside, which we will discuss in a second. If we're also now moving on to the 4-hour time frame, let's see. Before we, very quickly, before we discuss the 4-hour time frame, on the daily time frame, all I want to highlight here is with this most recent bounce back up to the upside, we beautifully reverted back into the daily EMA ribbons. Now, if we come over to the 4-hour time frame, still on the subject of the EMA ribbons are starting to converge back down to the downside. That is because the EMA ribbons, the long-term moving average, is showing support. Well, this was support at $16.65. We're now trading at $16.27 as Solana breaks to the downside with a 4-hour bearish engulfing candle. Now, if we're looking at the structure right now, you can clearly see in approximately the next 24 hours, we may see another bearish flip of the 4-hour EMA ribbons. The last time this happened, we retested them as resistance at $20.17, and we had a 39% correction. So It's very possible for the next 24 hours, Solana continues its breakdown, potentially hits this Fibonacci level. If we zoom out, this is a macro 618 Fibonacci. We could hit $15 and have a bounce back up to the upside, retesting these EMA ribbons as resistance. So kind of what I expect is a breakdown to the downside. I probably expect Solana to move down about another 7 or 8%, at which point I would be expecting a bounce, maybe even a 7 or 8% bounce back up to the upside, at which point I would be looking for a retest of these EMA ribbons before that next major move to the downside. So really, we're currently trading at around about $16.30. I expect a further break back down, and then in a few days or so, I kind of expect us to bounce back up and start trading at pretty much the exact same level as I am recording this video from at this moment in time, $16.30. We could be here for a few days or so. However, on the 4 hour, what do you know? If we are looking at this structure, we do clearly have a nasty bearish pennant, which we have broken to the downside of. If I clear up the EMA ribbons and moving averages, just so we can focus on this a little bit clearer, you can see this happened on Saturday. We broke to the downside. On Sunday, we came back up and retested it as resistance, and now we've closed a daily candle body underneath this resistance, which is why on Monday I'm coming back and letting you know that this uptrend that we've quite recently seen has been broken. We've got a daily candle body closed beneath this. We've had a 4 hour retest, and this is why I'm letting you know this is really a tipping point for Solana. I think in the lower time frames and the higher time frames, these charts are letting me know that we should be breaking down to the downside very, very soon. So that's really what I expect for Solana. I also want to quickly let you know Solana BTC is coming right back down to its bear market lows. We do have a little bit of support after a 22% drop. If we come over to Solana Ethereum, you can see we're also rushing down to new bear market lows. We're just holding support on the 786 fib, but really you're seeing Solana extremely weak against Bitcoin, extremely weak against Ethereum, extremely weak against the US dollar. I do think we're coming back down to new bear market lows. Personally, where I am targeting for price targets for Solana, if we do zoom out, you can see there is a huge area on the volume profiles right down here at $4.50. So this is really what I'm targeting. If we come over to this chart over here, you can also see $5.11 down to about $4.44. This is a huge area of support in which we previously made all-time highs at. So I kind of expect us to come down to around about $5, $4.50, at which point we could spend a little bit of time trading around about these areas. I've already made a video quite recently on the channel. It was the last Solana video we made. It was this one here, panic sell or time to buy. In this video, I talked about the fact, of course, you know, Solana's had a nasty bear market. I think we are coming down. While I am bearish in the short to mid-term, I am bullish on Solana coming into the next cycle. It's one of my favorite altcoin projects actually, and what I let you know in the previous video is I've actually set up DCAs between $5 down to $4.50, and I haven't actually set up a buy order down here at the point of control, which is $1.90, but I will have a buy order down there just in case we do break down that low. Of course, you know, I'm not going to be waiting for $1.90. I'm not going to say, I'm going to wait for this exact level. Like I said in the last video, I'm going to be buying at $5. I'm going to be buying at $4.50. I'm going to ladder buy orders down in at these lower price targets, hoping that it comes down to $1.90. If it doesn't, that's completely fine. We'll be DCAing at $5 to $4 and laddering our buys in more aggressively if the price does break down lower to the downside. Of course, in the macro, like I said, I think this is one of the final corrections you're going to see for Solana. A lot of the bearish analysis that I've been giving on Solana for the past year or so, which of course has played out, we really started flipping bearish on Solana around about $112. Do bear in mind, you know, I was trading the NFT ecosystem back in these areas, so even though Solana moved from about $270 down to about $75, at this moment in time I was trading Solana NFTs. A lot of them, you know, did 10x's, 100x's. The Solana NFT ecosystem in the bull market was absolutely ridiculous. Even starting to break down into the bear market, there was so many opportunities in the NFT ecosystem, and I do believe that is going to be coming back very, very soon. And by very, very soon, I mean around about a year. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish it was coming back sooner, but I just don't think liquidity conditions and the rest of the markets and the global economy is going to be supportive of an NFT bull run at this moment in time. Not while interest rates are up at 5.25%. Money is too expensive, credit's too expensive, credit's too hard to get, money's too hard to get. I don't think an NFT bull run is right around the corner. However, I do think Solana coming down to its final capitulation stage is right around the corner. And because of that, I want to start setting up my DCA orders. More about that in a future video. I'll break down exactly what price targets I'm buying at and what percentages of my portfolio I'm allocating to Solana in a later video. So stay tuned for that. For today, my friends, that's all I've got. You know now why I think in the higher time frames and the lower time frames that we're currently at a tipping point, and Solana really looks to me like it is about to break back down for the final leg to the downside. And also, we didn't give you the price target of the breakdown of the bearish pennant. This could be meaning that Solana could move down to about $9.80. There we go. You know all my price targets. That's all I've got for today. As always, my friends, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button and become a member today. Follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.